not wizards. We are the best. And also, we are not wizards. Enjoy the show. Bye.
Shall we start?
Yeah.
Just whenever prior. Just whenever. You get a drink, that's it. You settle down.
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Just take your time. Take your time.
I'm off the cuff. That's how I work.
I'm just like this. I'm a little bit Zoom. I'm a little bit Zam. I'm a little bit Rylan.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right, okay. Let's do this. Let's have a gap for silence so we can get the background noise. So turn your mute off, because otherwise I can't get the background noise.
Have I muted it?
No, you haven't now.
I haven't.
There you go.
It's not muted.
Alright. Hello and welcome to another episode of We Are Not Wizards. Why are you talking in the middle of it? Hello. My name's Richard.
My name's Luke.
Go on, you chuckling muppet.
I'm not good at this.
What was that?
Chuckling Muppet. Chuckling Muppet.
Could be worse.
That sounds like a Willy Wonka sweet. Ooh.
Does it? It sounds like
a bag of chuckling Muppets.
Can I have a bag of chuckling Muppets? And do you know what they do? It's like they're like kind of like that popping candy that you get, but it makes different sounds in your mouth when you open your mouth. Because you remember that? You remember popping candy? You remember you used to put popping candy in your mouth?
Candy.
And then you used to go like that. You used to go, and then shut your mouth and go, listen. But nobody could really hear anything because the only sound was emanating from your own mouth, so you can actually hear it. So chuckling.
Yeah, in your brain, it's like 90 decibels, but to anyone within a meter, they can barely hear it.
Yeah. I heard something really interesting the other day, which I thought was really, really funny, which was they did like a survey. They did like a survey of kind of like people that had hearing loss, who'd had basically had hearing impairment all their lives, and they did a survey to say like, and the ones that got like cochlear implants and stuff like that and were able to hear for the first time, and they kind of said what were the most surprising sounds that they found out when they were able to hear. And the first one was like, one of the most popular ones is they all expected the sun to make a noise when it was like...
That makes a lot of sense though, doesn't it?
When you look at it.
I mean, if you look at it, you think, that's got to be given at least a decent hum. You know? Like a low didgeridoo kind of.
Exactly. Just make you feel uncomfortable. Well, that's the sun out again.
Yeah.
But the other thing they said as well is they didn't realise that when you farted, you made a noise. Which I thought was brilliant.
Oh, you imagine how happy you'd have been the day you first heard a fart and you were an adult who could comprehend how fabulous that is.
Could you imagine?
We've all seen pictures of babies doing a fart and they smile and that was
just
fun,
like that's amazing.
You know, so imagine what you were like when you're 32 and the first time you hear that came out of me.
But could you also imagine the horror of realising that you've been standing at like bus stops? You know, like, job interviews. I've gone for this job interview and you've just like, how'd you get on? I thought I did brilliantly. I answered all the questions. It was a bit windy. You know how I get windy when I'm nervous.
Just go pause for 1 second because these are about to run out of battery.
Oh, for goodness sake!
So hang on. I don't. Just shut up.
You're gonna edit.
Just shut up.
I've got a click now. It's like it's obvious that like 5 weeks.
I can't hear you.
5 weeks notice.
Well, actually, I can sort of hear you.
5 weeks notice.
Where's the sound coming from?
Isn't enough time.
Why can't I hear you?
This is gloriously organised. Wonderful. I was going to say, I mean, we've only had about 4 or 5 weeks notice for you to like know that like, you had to charge your headphones. And it's good to know how important this entire endeavour is to you, kind of, you know, a couple of shows in.
Important enough that I made sure I had spare pair. So you could look at it one way, sir, or you could look at it another.
Okay, I'll look at it.
We could be a little positive, or it could be a negative Nelly, can't we?
We could be. I am definitely. You're the Chuckling Muppet. Welcome to We're Not Wizards, joined by the Chuckling Muppet and Negative Nelly.
The Chuckling Muppet.
Could be. Hey, Bert.
That's a Chuckling Muppet.
That is a Chuckling Muppet. I will find you. I have a very particular set of skills.
Is one of the best things ever. Kermit doing the taken thing is just. Can you imagine, like, for all the crap the internet gives us, you know, horrible Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called, just full of nasty, horrible people just trying to be horrible to each other. Yeah. But then it comes up with Kermit as taken, you know.
You don't have much money.
No. Makes it all better.
It just does. It's just amazing. Have a very particular set of skills. Skills that make me a nightmare.
I will find you.
To deal with someone. I will find you. And I will kill you. It's the dribbling, chuckling Muppet and negative. This is going really, really well. This episode is called Don't Look Back as a Chuckling Muppet. Because we're going to talk about games that we kind of played last year, and we'll put them in a list separately, obviously not together because we're not close enough to sit down over a table and put a list down together. So we've got like a little top 10. We've also got some honourable mentions as well, and we have potentially a special award, which we're not going to create some kind of award and send it to the people because they'll probably ignore us either. Before we jump into our lists for the games of the year, or last year, because not this year, because we don't know this year, have you been playing anything interesting and exciting that isn't Mythic Battles? Just calling you on that.
No, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. You can't make me not talk about Mythic Battles. You can't do that. That's not fair.
Yes, I can. It was important.
So,
it was important.
Everything I have been playing.
Yeah.
It was very important. Very important.
Yeah.
Everything I have been playing will probably be mentioned on the list. Oh no! Tell you what, no, I won't.
Okay.
I played Dune Imperium again.
On
Thursday. Yeah.
See, there's a guy at the club that I go to, and he brings in 2 games. One of them is Dune Imperium, and he has all the expansions, which is fair enough. And he's one of these guys that board game companies will hate because he has like one game that he brings in and he just plays it constantly all the time. This is the game that he plays. He loves this game.
In a weird sense, he's normal.
In a weird sense, he's normal.
Weirdos.
Yes, let's not.
Yeah, but we look at him as the weirdo. Yes. For just always bringing the same game.
Because he brings in that
by one or two games.
And he's got First in Flight as well.
What the other one's going to be.
First in Flight he's brought.
Oh.
It's a new one.
That's not what I expected.
No,
I've heard it's very good.
He got First in Flight on Kickstarter. So. Yeah, it is. It's incredibly. I played it and pleasantly surprised, to be honest. However, it was quite a heartwarming story involving your Mythic Battles, I believe. And
yes,
and it wasn't just you playing it, was it?
Ragnarok arrived recently, which is the Norse version. Mythic Battles originally it was just Mythic Battles Pantheon, which was set in ancient Greek, and all the Greek gods and Greek myths and Greek heroes and Greek troops and Greek beasties, and I love just everything about it. I will not miss an opportunity to wax lyrical about how feckin' awesome Mythic Battles is. And so Ragnarok arrived.
Yeah.
Which in one little sense I wasn't as bothered about, just because Norse mythology doesn't mean a great deal to me. You know, I'm not as enamoured. Well, I'm sure I would be enamoured with a lot of the myths of Norse culture and everything. I just don't know them as well, you know. And also the names. the names. There's Y's next to T's next to G's and I's and 4 N's and a Y, and then it's just like, give me a chance, Sweden. What have I done to Norway to make it so hard to relate to their culture?
Have you tried making an effort?
And trust me, and Elliot, my 10-year-old son, made a huge effort. He's actually quite annoyingly good at it. I'd sort of pass him a card and say, what the hell does that say? And he'd be like, Tangerine, and say it, and I'd go like, that's not a bad effort, I would imagine. But yes, so we sat down with some, got it kind of sorted. I'm missing a deck of cards, which is slightly frustrating, but hey ho, it's one of those things. Luckily, because I have all the Pantheon stuff, it wasn't a problem, so I could use some bits from that. They'll get those cards to me. So I set us up a decent little force each, and I said to him, I said, do you want to just try and learn it? I was worried it was going to be too much, because have you played Mythic Battles Pantheon?
You know what?
Have you ever played it?
I'm going to say no.
It's fair enough.
I haven't played it.
It's one of those games. It's not a difficult game, but one of the things I love about it is that it does some things that you just don't see elsewhere. The dice mechanism is really cool dice mechanism, but it's quite a confusing one. It's quite a hard one to explain. So, for instance, I shall explain it to you. Say you have an attack stat and a defense stat. The attack stat is how many dice you roll, and the defense stat is the number that you need to beat. And for every one of those you do a wound.
Yeah.
So say it's 7 versus 7. So I roll 7 dice. Yeah. The dice are blank to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and blank. Now, there's 2 rolls. It's not like Yahtzee. So you roll the dice first, and any 5s are instantly a re-roll. And what you'll do is you'll add the next dice to that dice. So if you're looking for 7 and you get a 5, you re-roll it again, hoping to get a 2.
Yeah.
But what you could do in the first bit is any of the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, and anything like that, you could sacrifice a dice to add 1 to any other dice. So if you've got a 5 and 2 4s and 2 1s and a blank, you could sacrifice the 2 1s to make the 4s a 5. So then you can re-roll them. Or what you could also do is you might have a 3 and a 2 and a 2 and a 5. So what you could sit there and do is go, right, okay, I won't make the 3 into a 5. Yeah, because say you're trying to get an 8, like a high defense thing. I won't make it into a 5 because it's still quite hard to roll what I need with that second dice. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll save them all for the next roll.
Yeah.
Or you could sit there and just say, I'll make that 5 into an 8.
Yeah.
And just take the wound and just go, right, I'll just, because it might be against a god. Gods are very tough. They're very hard to damage. So just like doing 1 or 2 wounds in an attack against a god is like, you did well, So it's got this really lovely dice mechanism that it's not like anything else I've ever done. But as you can see, that's quite hard to explain to an adult and a gamer, let alone a 10-year-old who's still kind of really wrapping his head around all this stuff. So we did that and explained it to him, and he was just like, so we went over it a few times, and then it was like one time he just suddenly went, I get what you mean now. I got it. So, okay, cool.
Awesome.
Then the other thing you do is when you build your force, everybody has a certain amount of activation cards, and you shuffle them all up with these Art of War cards, and you have your little deck. So you have like 5 or 6 cards in your hand at a time, and you activate a thing, and then each turn, each activation, a miniature could do, a unit or whatever could do either two simple actions, which is like walk and run and attack, walk and attack and stuff like that, and claim, which is to do with how you win. Or you could do one complex action, which is absorb and run and stuff like that, or like maybe something for a special ability that they've got. So again, that's simple enough, but it's lots of things for him to get the hang of. And at first I just said, this is just a teaching thing. We're not going to sort of play it as such, but we're just going to go through all the motions and stuff like that. But we just ended up playing it, and he bloody loved it, and he loved every second of it. And as always, the little shit beat me, as he always bloody does.
But that's what you want, though. I kind of want that, because it does encourage them to get back in again. Because I think it's one of these things when you get to the table and you say, well, this is something I want us to do together, and I really like doing this. But if you just trunce them again and again and again, then it's just like, well, there's no point in playing this with you, because you're just going to get trounces. One of the questions I've got for the Mythic Battle stuff is that I have seen kind of like the pledge levels and people kind of going, look at my mountains of cardboard, and
there is a lot of stuff. Yeah,
can you get through it all? This is my big question, because one of the things I'm not trimming down my collection, but I'm generally going into it and going, right, okay, if I'm not playing this, I think I'm gonna punt it somewhere else. I've got kind of like family and friends and stuff like that I know they don't have as big a collection as me, and if I put a game their way, then it goes onto a collection of like 5 or 6 games that I know that they're definitely gonna play. But is it something you're gonna get through, or is it something you're gonna get like you're only gonna use like 25% of the game, and the rest of it's just gonna kind of like stay in the box?
No, one of the really cool things about Mythic Battles is you could do, like, it's got like loads of books for scenarios and stuff like that, so you can do all that kind of thing. You could kind of have it all sort of set up ready for you, just say, look, here's a good fight with a little bit of story behind it. Or what I pretty much always do, I've done a few scenarios, but I pretty much always do is you do what's called a draft. So all of the creatures and characters and everything, they all have these little dashboards which tell you everything, their stats and all that sort of stuff. But then you have this deck of cards, which is the draft deck. So what you do is you just shuffle all this up, and you deal out, like, say, 4 gods and like 6 heroes and 6 monsters and 6 units, and you've got 18 points to spend. They're all various different points. And then you just go back and forth drafting from this pool of what's available to you. So in that sense, it's a really cool thing. So you just, like, every draft that comes up, because you've got so many options, or certainly I have, you've just got so much stuff available that you just kind of, you're always sitting there going, oh wow, okay, right, I've never had a chance to use this one with this one, or that's going to work nice. So it's really easy in that sort of plug and play kind of way to kind of get through a lot of the stuff. So, like, I doubt in Pantheon, there's a unit I haven't used. In fact, no, probably some of the gods I haven't happened to use some of those gods. But yeah, it's really good on that front. The biggest thing with Mythic Battles is having it so you've got it all stored in a way that makes that process a little easier, because you set out that like set of cards, then you've got to go get all the dashboards for it and all their activation cards for it, blah blah blah. So now the Ragnarok comes with a really nice storage box and everything, and it's all kind of really well set out. But if you've got Pantheon as well, I never got the Pantheon storage box, but also it's slightly limited in one way. So I've got Pantheon stored in a very specific way, so now I'm going to make it so it's all stored in a very specific way. So the dashboard and the activation cards and any tokens they have, they're all together, so they're all in amongst each other. So I haven't got to look for one thing 3 times, kind of thing. I just look for one. So if Elliot says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to choose Hercules," I could just go find Hercules, and I've got everything I need for Hercules right there. So that's kind of, as long as you've got that, you put in the effort to sort of store it well. It's just brilliant. It's just such a bloody great game. It's just playing it last night, and like Elliot said to me when we'd finished, and he was grabbing a drink, and he says, "Did you go easy on me?" And I said to him, "What do I always say?" Yeah. And he turned and he said, "You never play a game with me that I can't beat you at."
Yes.
And I was like, exactly.
And
that's the thing. if and like I said, that started off as just purely as a learning thing. I was just going to teach him the rules to see if he could get the hang of it, and then if he understood it, and I thought, yeah, you get what you've got to do, then we would have had a proper game. But he got it so quick that I was like, well, let's just go for it. And he beat me. So, and there'll be a game mentioned in this top 10 that I have never beaten him at.
See, it sounds like there's so much more to it. Is that it could be like, this is the only game that I have, and you could get kind of years. You could use it. It sounds to me like you're in a video game world. It would be your FIFA or your Call of Duty or something like that. It would be, here's my big box. This is my big box of stuff that I've bought, and this is literally going to last me for like the next couple of years until the next version kind of comes out pretty easily.
When I was Elliot's age and growing up, through teens and stuff, I was a 40k player. There were very few games I played. It was 40k, Magic, and then we had a few ones off like Necromunda, a few other ones, but probably 10 games at most. But there was the core ones that we played. This would have been my 40k when I was a kid. I think it was Mike Delicio, they were doing a top 10, I think it was, or one of their top 3s that they do in one of the shows they do. And one of them was games I wish I'd had as a kid, and my instant one was just, it's Mythic Battles. I mean, I just would have just loved having it, just played the absolute hell out of it. And like I say, you could do the draft thing, you could do the scenario thing, or you could just sit there and go, right, this is the force I'm going to build. I want to use Apollo with the Cerberus and and that's it. You could just say that's, you don't need to do a draft.
So it sounds like it's a kind of a, I see the Warhammer 40k people turning up every single week with their different armies and stuff like that. But it sounds it's kind of like that. It kind of can suit that. Kind of suits that kind of mentality of somebody who just, they spend their time and their trouble and their money on kind of like one thing, and they kind of love it. Speaking of spending your money on one thing, was Santa any good to you in the realm of cardboard? Did you get anything cardboard tabletop related this Christmas?
No, but I don't think I every now and then somebody will say to me like, oh, have you got a wish list or anything you want for Christmas or whatever, and there's sometimes I've put things out there and said, oh yeah, I'll this or this, here's a bunch of stuff that I would quite like, feel free to get anything from it. But I did do that this year, and I think if I don't request anything, nobody dares to buy anything.
So
I got lots of lovely gifts, but I don't think I got anything board game related.
Can I show you what I got, which will make you jealous?
Can you?
Yes. I'm just getting it.
I can sort of see it, but I can't figure out what it is. Oh, that's cool. Little trench run diorama. Is it it's Lego, yeah?
It's Lego, yeah, that's Lego.
That's wicked. Oh, I'd love that. Yeah.
That's amazing,
I
isn't it?
do a lot of Lego and stuff, and that's really cool. That I would definitely do that.
It's just so,
that's
I got
very cool.
It was a lovely surprise. I was absolutely delighted. I got a little James Bond Aston Martin that you can see on my shoulder. But I also got Star Wars Rebellion for my birthday. I got Star Wars Rebellion for my birthday. You
haven't played it?
I haven't, no. I have spent some time kind of basically separating out all the ships and stuff like that, and kind of separating out all the little forces.
Have you got the expansion?
No, I haven't, but I've heard it's a must.
Yeah, I would. As much as if you can't get hold of it, I don't know how in print it. I'm pretty sure you can.
I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy to get.
Yeah. But if the opportunity comes up to play Rebellion before you get hold of it, don't let that stop you. because it was a great game before the expansion. The expansion just polished it off nicely. It just rounded the edges a bit. Just, but oh God, I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, which I absolutely am,
yes,
there just isn't anything better. It is so goddamn good. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely. I mean, it's probably. I can't remember the last time I did a top 100 or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure it's definitely a top 5 game for me. I think it might have even been top 3.
Wow.
So it's not Mythic Battles Pantheon, but it's probably 3, maybe.
You
4?
saying that makes me kind of palm clap like a bridesmaid, like this.
It's just you just do stuff in it that you'll be like, oh, that's like in the movies, but then you'll do stuff in it you're like, can you imagine if that happened in the movies? like I think the first game I played, I can't remember if I was I think I was the Empire, and I managed to turn Admiral Akbar to the dark side, and I was like, yes. It's
that would be so cool. That would have been
it's
so
a trap,
cool.
you filthy rebels.
Is the Admiral Akbar impression, is that one that everybody kind of goes to? Is it like the Michael Caine, you're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off kind of thing? Because I think if you ask everybody, can you do like Schwarzenegger kind of I'll be back, then everybody can do it, or they could do the aye kind of thing. But if you do it's a trap, everybody. I think it's knows. Guy. Well, I think it's a kind of a Star Wars guy thing, but I think everybody can do that, which is pretty cool.
One of the worst things about the new Star Wars movies was the unceremonious death of Admiral Akbar. I can't even talk so about little glory. He dies in amongst the Princess Leia, Mary Poppins in space thing, and it was just
what are you doing?
Just like, it's just like
I can't.
As rough as that bit was.
Yeah.
It's just so no fanfare. It's all about.
I can't even go. I can't eat
cinnamon buns.
Can't even talk about it. It still hurts. No. I've not even watched Rise of Skywalker again. Do you know? After I've seen it at the cinema, I've not actually gone back and watched it at all.
I definitely have.
I've watched.
I still enjoy them. They're still fun.
I've watched The Last Jedi again because I thought that was actually quite good fun again on repeated viewings because you kind of pick up on little things. But the Rise of Skywalker, I'm just like, no, it just hurts. Just too sore. It is, I'm just kind of like, no, I don't want to.
Going back to Rebellion. Anyway,
yes,
it's just perfect. It just does things. It's definitely the only drawback of Rebellion, but it's also a plus because it means you have to play it more. Is that it's definitely one that requires a few plays to really kind of get it all out of it because what the rebels, the way the rebels win in enacting all these objectives and missions and stuff to get points and garner support for the rebellion against the Empire is to pull some of those off. You kind of need to have played it a bit and kind of understand how those cogs and wheels all sort of slot together. So it definitely in the earlier stage it probably feels like it's a little it's that the Empire's easier.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's once sort of two players know what they're doing and they kind of know, like, the Empire has an idea of how the rebels will work and what the rebels might be doing, because then they might be able to see little telltales as to what the rebels are trying to do because of what they're doing around the galaxy, and the rebels, it can feel just like, it's like, how am I going to win this? Look at this just array of imperial fleets in front of me.
There's so many of them as well. It's like about 3 Death Stars.
But you're like guerrilla warfare. You just like, you have ways of making a fleet just suddenly appear next to something and just go just
wow.
You might want to just destroy a Star Destroyer. That's all you want to do. You don't care what happens to the fleet. The fleet is sort of sacrificial, so you could just go, right, wham, shotgun, glass cannon, bang, kill that, focus on that, and what happens sort of thing. So you sort of like suddenly pop up and you're just an annoyance to the Empire sort of thing, all the while trying to misdirect where your base is, because that's what they're just sort of slowly scouring and looking for the base and stuff. It's just such a bloody great game. It's just
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Fabulous.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Right. We've had a bit of excitement. It's time to get serious. Last year.
Oh.
Well, no, it's not that serious. We can do armpit farts if you want.
I can do it. For a big guy, you think I'd be able to really do that, but I'm not that good at armpit farts.
I think when I was younger, I could do armpit farts, but I think it's because I didn't have underarm hair, and then it was just easy to do. Now it's like there's almost like a muffling. I think that's a kind of a certain thing. Let's kick proceedings off by I think I'm gonna issue a couple of caveats on this, because I know what these top 10s are like. And first of all, these are mostly, partly, if not all, games that were released this year, potentially. Secondly, while I'm putting them in order, it doesn't necessarily mean that one is better than the other. This is top 10 out of a list of games that I have had the joy to play in the last year. So just because something's at number 4 and something's at number 6 doesn't necessarily mean that something that is number 4 is always necessarily definitely better, the best version, because games are different and stuff like that. But the number one is, I think, the number one's controversial. I don't know about your number one. I'm very
Well, my number one's controversial in that it isn't actually a 2023 game.
Well, there you go.
But it was, I couldn't have got hold of it before 2023.
Well, there you go. So it's a 2023 game.
And it was a 2022 game. So it's like, and I will also make the caveats that, like I say, there's a couple of games that are on the list that are 20. Yeah, it's 2 games that aren't 2023. I don't care. And if something is above something else, it's because it's better. It's because it's better than it. I'm
trying to be politically diplomatic.
If you really feel that I'm wrong, ironically, you're wrong.
So there you go.
Yeah, so I mean that's just
it.
Your game isn't as good as the one I think. My opinion is
better.
I hasten to say no. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I mean, I'm the professional here. I work in the industry.
So exactly. You know what a good game makes. So as me, as a rank amateur who only merely writes about them, I know nothing. Right. I think what we're going to do is
just giving an opinion. I'm trying to make people. I'm trying to really help people with business. I know what makes a good game. Yeah. You're just sort of saying you're not looking at it from a business side of thing, which is fine. Yeah. That's fine.
Just put me in my place.
You're looking at it from all that fluffy, lovely side of things. No disservice to you.
I'm not I don't feel this. I am a fan, and I like fan service. I am a fan, and I like to be serviced. Right, so let's start off. I think.
Have you got any honourable mentions then?
I have
didn't quite make your top 10.
I think they're honourable mentions mostly because they are older games.
Yeah, or just
that have potentially continually blew my mind. So I've got 4. I'm going to mention them very, very quickly. Disney animated. By unfortunately it's Funko Games Prospero Hall, which
I've just been sold to Gibson. Gibson
Goliath. And
Goliath.
And they decided to shed out. They decided to shed all the talent. So as I think somebody heard it, I think it was I can't remember. Well, I do remember, but I'm not going to put the name out there, just for fear. But they basically said that they kind of like they were sold a steak sandwich, but they whipped the steak away they whipped the steak out and dumped it in the bin when they got the sandwich.
Just the juice that was left there. Just,
Exactly.
to remember that there was some steak there once.
It just
and you
doesn't
could
make
tell
any
that
sense.
it was probably a pretty bloody good steak. But
Exactly. No, we
get
don't care because we just chucked the steak away. So Disney Animated was a nice little kind of like multiple cooperative kind of objective based game. Absolutely lovely looking. I did review it for Tabletop Gaming Magazine a couple of months ago, which is why I've not mentioned it on my blog.
I don't think I realised it was you, Reed.
Yes, it was. It was. Other honourable mention, very quickly, Viticulture. Just love it.
Because you've only just discovered it this year?
Because it continually comes back to me like a fine wine. It just ages. It's aged so beautifully as a game. I just, I can sit it down. The teach is so quick and easy. It's very, very easy. So that gets an honourable mention. The other one is Tapestry. And do you remember last month I says, I was going to get it to the table and I hadn't played it and stuff like that. Yeah. I have managed to get it to the table a fair number of times, and I must say, I really like it.
I've definitely decided that I am going to pick up Tapestry.
It's just...
We had the discussion about it, and then I think I was listening to something else.
What?
I think it was a Dice Tower thing. It was probably on one of the top 100s that Tapestry turned up on there. And they were talking about it, and I was just like, you know what, it is a bloody good game. And I like the way, they do that thing of describing it as a civilization themed game, not a civilization game.
Yes.
And that's the best way to look at it, but what it does really well.
Yeah, I wrote a review.
Obviously,
about
it's Stonemaier, so it's a beautiful product.
Yeah, I wrote a review and said it's like four friends meeting at a buffet restaurant, and everybody kind of going up and getting separate dishes at separate times and stuff like that, and everything looks fabulous and tastes wonderful, and they all have the conversation throughout. But there's no joint progress. Nobody kind of gets in each other's ways. I also kind of likened it to saying one person gets a bigger plate, another person gets kind of like two forks. One person kind of gets multiple bowls to take up with them, so they've all got different kind of advantages and disadvantages. So that's the way. And the last one I'm going to mention as an honourable mention is Oath from Later Games, which I've been playing kind of on and off over a period of time, over the last kind of 5 or 6 months, thanks to Ian at the Giant Brain, who's graciously hosted us. Me and my son going over and playing Oath, I think 4 or 5 times now, and it's really weird. It's a once in a lifetime experience, and once you have played Oath, I don't think it's just an experience. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. But there is one caveat: is if you play somebody else's copy of Oath, unless you're really, really diehard into Oath, I don't think there's much point in getting up your own. Strangely enough, picking up your own copy of Oath, because you'll have a completely different experience. But it's going through the setup.
Which is quite cool in another way.
Yeah, but it needs a campaign. You need 4 or 5 sessions.
So if you at any point, a year later or something, said, let's do Oath again. Let's do a campaign of Oath. You know that you can do it, and you're not just going to go, but. Yeah. Then we get to this bit, and then there's that bit, and there's this bit. So that is cool in that way too. It's different.
It's world building. It's world changing. It's just it does rely on, there's a bit of king making, but the overall experience is absolutely glorious bits of tabletop that I've not really seen and experienced in any other game, which is why I'm interested in what Leader Games are going to do with Arcs when that is supposedly coming out, because it's meant to be something the same. So that is my special honourable
is Arcs
mention.
more like Oath?
I think
not
so.
More like Root. I thought Arcs was Root sci-fi.
I don't know.
Maybe it's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. What about your special mentions?
So, ones that didn't quite make the list. There's actually a few that I'm surprised. Earth didn't quite make the list.
Yeah.
It got very close. It was 11th. And I very much like Earth. I like what it does. A very cool game. A very cool game that I think has gone massively under the radar because it's not Death Road. No,
Thunder Road.
Thunder Road Vendetta.
I was like looking at you going, he's stuck. Somebody reboot the prior.
That game has got all of the love.
Yeah.
Death Road All Stars is, very much same setting.
Yeah.
It's such a great game. It's such a, I am going to screw up my mate. If you want a game where you're just absolutely going at each other from the first turn, Death Road All Stars is brilliant. It's really well produced. It does some really cool things. It's a brilliant game. That just didn't quite make the list. Ice also didn't quite make the list.
Heard very good things of that.
Yeah, very cool game. Really, again, like what it does. Beautiful production.
Check.
Pun not intended, but nonetheless
definitely included.
And another one I really enjoyed. So sort of surprisingly, I'm not a big one for multiplayer solo games.
Yeah.
But After Us is just such a fabulous little puzzle. It's just, and you're sitting there playing it, and you're doing this all cool thing where you're trying to put all these. You've got these boxes that you like that they go off the edge of the cards and stuff like that. Then what you do is you put 5 in a chain, and then you kind of follow along any boxes that you completed. Yeah, and then that gets you a load of resources, and then you buy more apes, primates, and monkeys and stuff like that. So you're deck building and trying to make this more thing. And it's just so much fun. It's just such a fun little puzzle to do all the time. I really, really enjoyed it. And it's got Vincent Dutrait artwork. And they definitely just went, Vincent, what have you been drawing lately? And he was like, monkeys. Been drawing monkeys. I've drawn a lot of monkeys lately.
I've been drawing monkeys all over. It's nothing but monkeys.
Drawing monkeys. Just drawing monkeys. I don't know why, but I can't stop thinking about monkeys. I'm going to bed thinking about monkeys. I'm sleeping thinking about monkeys, dreaming about monkeys. I've had nightmares about monkeys. I wake up thinking about monkeys. I'm eating a lot of bananas, and I've just drawn monkeys. And they were like, cool. Can we have some of the pictures? We'll make a game for that.
Just went,
and that's what they did.
That's what it did.
It is the most pasted on theme, but it looks all beautiful, and it's but the puzzle's great, and I was surprised actually it didn't quite make my top 10, but it just didn't quite make it.
Right.
Yeah, it was about.
Anything else?
Seas of Havoc. That's a really, again, another real good fun game that didn't quite make my list. Very much in the kind of the Death Road All Stars. You're just going at each other from the start, but it does a cool thing where you got this like worker placement game at the beginning, where you're sort of getting all your stuff, then basically have a big fight on the high seas, and you've got this kind of Pac-Man grid board. So you could be on this side of the board, shoot that way off the edge of it, and you hit the person on the left-hand side of the board. So it's so you're just never safe. You just you think you sit there and you could be seemingly a long way away from everybody, and then suddenly goes, oh yeah, I'll shoot you, and you're like, how are you going to shoot? Oh yeah. Pac-Man. bloody Pac-Man. So that was I really like Seas of Havoc. Really good.
Cool. Let's start with our number 10. I was going to say there was a special award before we dive in, which we promised to play this game, and I don't think either of them manages to get it to the table.
Oh, have you not managed to? I thought you had got it.
I was kind of mucking about with it quite a bit, but I haven't kind of got through it enough to kind of be I definitely want to talk about this game yet. And it's Dungeon Saga Origins, and the only reason I'm mentioning it is because I think it has been, just from the beginning of the crowdfunding effort all the way through to delivery, I think it just deserves a special shout out for kind of saying, we're going to get this done, we're going to get it out here, and we're going to deliver. And I think the only thing that they're still working on slightly is the Dungeon Companion, which, as far as I'm aware, they've got a browser version. There's got a browser version. They've just not got the mobile. They've not got the app ready, which I'm assuming needs certification and stuff like that. But
which that was what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the companion app because it would be me and Elliot that are playing it.
Yeah.
And he's not going to want to be the bad guy or all of the heroes. You know, it's just, and I kind of didn't want to. I wanted to play it together and have this adventure together. Yeah. And you can play it without the companion app, so you can play it cooperatively without companion app, but it's kind of a bit stupid in that you just have to look and
pretend
so,
that
like,
you haven't
seen where
it.
seen where the trap is and stuff. And I was like, that's crap.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a co-op mode.
It's not.
You know,
it's literally like buying your own birthday presents and then acting surprised on you. Oh, you shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing,
exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
But
so
on other sides,
and we just haven't, because of when it came out, and then it was Christmas and New Year, kids going back to school. We just haven't had a chance to really get into it. And what I'd quite like to do is look at everything that I need for the first kind of, and get all that painted, because if I really crack on, it won't take me long to do that, and I'd really like to play with it all painted. That'd be a really cool, I think, fun experience for me and him. So yeah, we will get it to the table. Yeah. As
I say, basically a little side award. But I called it delivering on all fronts, and it's Mantic Games and Dungeon Saga Origins. They just smashed it, and all this time we're all negative about crowdfunding and, you know, Kickstarter being crap and GameFound being wonderful, and, you know, delays, and, you know, people getting hit for extra money and stuff like that. It's nice to actually kind of lift somebody up and say, look, these people, they just delivered. Yeah, they did really well.
They crushed it on all fronts. They delivered early, they delivered well, and they delivered a beautiful product. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, I've delved into it and looked at it loads, and they've just really nailed it. They really did. Yeah, absolutely. What's your number 10? If we're hitting the top 10 now, what is your number 10? My number 10 is a game called Vaalbara.
Yes. I've played
this.
Do you
know the game
I have played Vaalbara at Tabletop
really
Scotland.
Really lovely little filler game, filler set collection. It's just a really nice game that works really well. It does the Pirate Libertalia game, where you all have the same load of these sort of Viking-y kind of characters, sort of Viking-y tribal kind of characters. They all do certain things, and then you put one down face down, everybody flips over, that determines what order you go in. Choosing one of these things, and then at the end of the game you'll get as throughout the game you'll get points, you know, if you've got X amount of this versus this, or and all these various things. It just works just really nice, really beautifully produced. Stupid box. It has got a stupid box. But it is lovely. It's got that slidey outside box thing. It's just crap.
Don't like it. So it should be number 12, really. You should just demote it for that and just not have it.
It got to number 10 despite of the stupid box.
That is
so really... if anything, if they had a decent box, it might have been up towards 6, 8. Maybe 5.
That's pretty good.
You never know.
Good.
That's how bad that box is.
That's terrible.
But yeah, great game. Really good. I played it quite a bit at Aircon West. Because it's a really good one where you're just in between a bigger game and stuff like that. You can just
stick it down and get it on the table, because it's pretty easy to kind of set up. My number 10 is Shores of Tripoli by Fort Circle Games.
I have not even heard of this game.
Which is basically, it's like it's a card-driven kind of war game, where you're basically trying to be the American forces against the pirates of Tripoli. And it's telling a story. It's almost like moving you along how the actual events work, and you're heading towards a huge crescendo, and you're building up forces, and you're trying to basically you're trying to either collect as much money or tribute as possible if you're playing the Tripoli forces, or you're trying to force basically a treaty or like a ceasefire. But it kind of works. It's like your normal kind of war gamey card kind of driven combat. It just looks magnificent on the table. It's got big, huge wooden pieces, It's pretty easy to play. You're almost like guided on how you're playing it, but you're still kind of making kind of strategic decisions, and you can quite easily kind of play it. It's a 1v1 game as well, so there's multiple people kind of. It's not like a multiplayer game. It's like 1v1 sitting over the table. One of you play one side, one of you play the other, and you're off against each other. It was the game Fort Circle Games made before their biggest game, which was Votes for Women. But that's my number 10. And it's just nice to sit down and just play through it. Have some fun.
It's got a very nice look to it. I just looked it up.
Yes.
I do like the design of it.
Yes.
It's very nice and clean and simple.
Yes.
Nice poppy colours.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it.
It's very It's a decent looking game. So that is Shores of Tripoli, which is my number 10. What is your number 9?
My number 9.
Yes.
Game again. Didn't get a lot of love. Don't hear anybody talk about it. Fighters of the Pacific.
Oh, okay. I must admit,
have you even heard of it?
It's not crossed my path.
So it kind of, at a glance, looks like Aerial Combat Memoir 44. So it's hex based, and it's obviously set in the Pacific theatre of World War II.
Yeah.
And you have lots of various scenarios, and it's just got this really cool system of the way you when you activate the various fighters, you kind of always trying to. It's the best way to describe it. It's not, you can't just sort of just go, he'll point at him and he'll shoot him. You've got to line things up kind of right, and you've got to kind of like, so if I want to shoot one of your things, what I kind of want to do is try to shoot it with somebody else first.
Yeah.
And then you get somebody else. So you've got that kind of wingman thing constantly. You're trying to not just navigate your one or two against something. One against one. You're really trying to sort of pair things off to try and sort of focus on ones. And like take things out before they activate and stuff like that. And it's all very nice scenario based. It's just it's slightly fiddly to play with, because it's all the ships are like chits, but they're plane shaped chits as it were. They're not like squares or something like that.
Yeah.
So you flip them over and stuff like that, so it can get a little bit clunky, like flipping them over and stuff like that. But you know, doing all these clever maneuvers, and it's got that sort of chess snooker feel that you've got to kind of think 2 or 3 turns ahead kind of thing, whilst also being able to be reactive sort of thing. So yeah, really, really cool game, really well set, and I'm really looking forward to Fighters of Europe.
Interesting. Who's the publisher for that?
It's Don't Panic and Capsicum.
Right. Okay. Cool. Okay.
I think Capsicum Games did it first of all, but I think Don't Panic seemed to have taken it over.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, really cool game. Really cool.
Okay.
Really, like I said, really underrated. Nobody talks about it.
My number 9, actually should probably be an awful lot higher, but I've got to play it an awful lot more before I get there. It's Halls of Hegra by Tompet Games, which it's a solitaire war game. Basically, you play as a series of Norwegian volunteers try to fight off the German forces in the early days of kind of like World War II.
They want to hold the line, weren't they? Basically.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like.
Yeah.
If I say something like,
it was a bit of a 300 kind of thing, wasn't it?
If I say kind of like This War Is Mine, or like even kind of Dead of Winter, there's a level of desperation to this game, which is almost like you go into it. It's almost like, I know some people say, I've heard somebody say it was like, it's almost like the Home Alone of games, in that you know that the forces are about to descend on you. You know you have to set up kind of like your resources, or you can either go and scout for more resources to help you, or you can dig through the snow to try and kind of dig more resources, or you can repair equipment, or you've got to put kind of like people in certain places. So you get like volunteers that you can help, you get actual soldiers that help. It's just desperation bits after desperation, and what you're trying to do is you're really just trying to minimise the potential damage as the desperation kind of increases. So the first stage is all about exploring the fortress, digging it out, getting new recruits, and just kind of like planning supply routes. Then you've got a first attack, so you've got to try kind of like defend it while you're kind of doing kind of even more preparations for the final siege, and then you get the final kind of siege of Hegra itself. So you've got you start to get bombing, and you start to get things kind of damaged, and you're constantly kind of almost like firefighting to kind of like still bring in resources, but kind of repair guns, and it becomes like a game that you get halfway through, or you get towards the end, and you're glad it's over. But it's the experience. The only reason it's a bit lower in my thing is because there's a little bit of setup involved, and it takes a little while to kind of completely get your head around what you're meant to be doing. But it just looks fantastic on the table. It's quite busy, but it is ordered in such a way that it does eventually make sense once it clicks. The rulebook's pretty good, but as far as solitaire games go, it's just easy just to sit down on an evening and just kind of play through it, but you don't want to rush it, but you just want to savour it. And it is that kind of, so if you're into that kind of fighting against insurmountable odds, then it's Tompet Games. They're a small outfit. They've done Halls of Hegra's, I think their second game. They did Dawn in the Purple, which was a game based around
they were donning the purple.
They were donning the purple, so they did that based around the kind of the rise of I think it was maybe the rise of
that
Caesar.
got some love when it came out.
Yeah, this is Petter. Was it Shanka Olsen? I think his name is. And Tompet Games, they deserve a lot of love. They're doing some amazing things in the space. And Halls of Hegra, I've seen it appear on quite a few critical acclaim places now, because it is just a damn good game. So that's my number 9, Halls of Hegra, Tompet Games.
Little honourable mention for Halls of Hegra, a beautifully evocative cover.
Yes.
I remember the first thing, it caught my eye.
Yes.
Immediately when I saw it. It's just such a real grey. And now you're telling the story of it makes a lot of sense, because it's men, I think, if I remember right, like kind of not cowering, but kind of they're sort of braced behind a sort of defense or a wall or something like that, and you can see like oncoming force.
It's a very evocative cover.
Very,
you know
very,
exactly
very
what you're kind of getting with that game when you look at the cover. So that's Halls of Hegra. That is my number 9. What is your number 8?
My number 8 is Age of Rome. From Teetotum. Okay. Teetotum Games. Very cool game. So you play a one of the various characters who would want to be Caesar, and it's about getting the most victory points. But it does some really cool stuff. You have this central board, and that board is mainly a circle, which is split up into quarters, and that. It's like a little lazy Susan. It can move, and you have each circle has a section for a port, port section, barracks, farms, like a political place, and a something else place. I forget what the other one is. Religious place. I think. Yeah, and. On those things, so what you do is you work a placement, but you have these acrylic discs which are the upgraded version of each of those sections. So you will build and upgrade those sections with money. Then you use worker placement, and you'll decide what I'm going to go to the barracks, so I'll get more forces, and you send your forces out to the battlefield, or I'll get political. I'll do the political one, so I get more votes in the Senate, blah blah blah. And it's kind of got like a sort of bit of a set collection and stuff like that going on. Then what you do, you'd have had an event card that came out which impacts the game in some way or form, but also shows you where the board is going to rotate in that next turn. And you do this over like 10 rounds. The board keeps going back and forth, and it might go twice anti-clockwise and then come back once clockwise and blah 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 sort of thing. So you're building a thing, but then you're sitting there going, oh, but if I build this, that's then going to go round to Matt, and he really wants that. No. So you've got this, and then what you also do is you have schemes, because it's Rome and everybody was always stabbing each other in the back. So you can set schemes up. So they're like little bombs, basically, that you'll place on one of these quarters that's in front of you, and then eventually it'll spin round, and once that scheme is in front of somebody else, you can use your worker to enact that scheme, and you get to steal something from them or take this or blah blah blah. It does some really, really cool stuff, and it's very, I thought it was just going to be kind of just a classic Euro worker placement, get some points, but it does a cool thing with a rotating board. That's why I just thought it was going to be just nicely produced, fun game. But it's actually got a lot of take that. It's a real, ruthless game. Yeah. You really are going at each other in a lot of ways. So yeah, great game. Really, really like it. I really like what it does. Beautifully produced. Yeah,
good stuff. My 8, Race to the Raft, City of Games, Frank West. The island is on fire. You're trying to move the cats from their safety spots to the actual raft, and it is quite literally a path building, fire prevention kind of lovely little puzzle game that, as with all puzzle games, kind of ramps up in complexity and difficulty in the various kind of ways that you've got to kind of win the game. And I think it's maybe not as, I guess, as I would say kind of family friendly as the Isle of Cats was, but it's certainly,
it looks like quite a tough game.
It's kind of mysteriously quite complicated, and also kind of has the ability to have additional kind of rewards on it. But it's bright and it's colourful and it's got lovely wooden cat tokens, and it's certainly kind of like, it looks garish on the table, but I kind of really, I had a lot of fun with it, and the puzzle element will keep you kind of coming back again and again and again. But it's, that was my number 8, which is Race to the Raft from the City of Games.
I remember when I first saw Race to the Raft, I thought it looked like Minesweeper on acid.
Ah, yes.
That's a pretty accurate description, isn't it?
It's kind of like the fact,
It's a lot of stuff going on in a very kind of small space. There's a lot of stuff.
It kind of feels, it does feel like that, but then once you get playing to it, it's one of these things you look at it and go, what is actually happening here? But once you kind of get the cards down and you realise you're trying to build your kind of you're kind of like building your roots for all the various casts. You're trying to build paths for each of the casts. Based on the colours, because they're only allowed to go along kind of like certain kind of colours and roots and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a pleasant surprise for me, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. Your number 7, Mr. Pryor. What's your lucky number 7?
So my number 7 is a funny little game which I think we've discussed before. Perfect convention game. This is Pray Another Day.
Yes, you have.
So it just it's got the weirdest artwork. Everybody when you hand them their set of cards, which is the same as everybody's got, everybody's just like, wow, that's some artwork, isn't it? Kind of thing. But it's got this brilliant. It's like love letter / the assassin section of Citadels. It's the guard choice in love letter. You calling out a character, but then you're trying to guess what somebody else has done. It's just such a condensed, perfect little filler game. Just nailed it. Just again, kind of like love letter in that sense, that it's just so condensed, and you just think, how have you managed to do so much with so few cards? You know,
like
it's just how have you pulled that off?
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's brilliant, just absolutely brilliant.
Awesome.
Yeah, love it.
Awesome.
Pray another day.
My number 7 is Resident Evil, the board game. Only because, I just...
Oh, it's 2023.
Yeah. Look, it was released this
I
year.
would have
Released
said that
on
was
a,
earlier,
released this...
They've been doing Resident Evil for a while.
Yeah. They'd done Resident Evil 3, then they did Resident Evil 3, then they did Resident Evil 2. And then they went back and...
Then they did 3.
2, then 3, then they went back and did 1 because the anniversary stuff.
Steamforged, they produce beautiful games. They can't count, sadly.
I know, it's one of these things.
They can't win them all.
I mean, Resident
we
Evil...
don't hold it against them.
Resident Evil 7's out next year, and then it's going to be followed by 4, and then Village. I just can't... You can't even control these people anymore. It is just a very, very good video game adaptation on a board game type style, and it brings all the tension to it. It brings the lack of bullets, the lack of resources, the having to run for your life. The tiles are a bit, I think negatively, the tiles on it are a bit too dark for my liking. I think it kind of yes, it's a very, very dark game, but please can we just lighten up the tiles a bit just so we can see all the glorious artwork. But apart from, there is nothing worse than failing, or you're constantly looking at failing and you're constantly just it absolutely encourages you to... It's not a zombie side where you sit there and you end up feeling like Rambo with multiple weapons and you're just shooting things left, right and centre. 9 times out of 10, the best thing you can do in this game is if you see even a single zombie, the best thing for you to do is to run away because you're more likely to succeed in that. It tries to expand it with there's a full kind of manor exploration mode. There's they've brought in puzzle elements with cards, so you'll have a row of cards and you've got to guess which one matches to which, and if not, you reset the puzzle and start again. It's just... And it kind of works quite... And ironically, it kind of works pretty well as just a single-player game. You can just set it up as nature intended, as you would as a video game, and just set it on the table with your various characters, and you can just play through it like a video game. Except, and it just... Yeah, so that's Steamforged games. That's my number 7.
Have you played the other Resident Evil?
I've got the Resident 3. I've not played Resident 2.
Not played it.
But Resident 3 I think is meant to be better than Resident 2 because it's got some kind of changes. But yeah, I really enjoyed Resident 3 because it's kind of like this one, but there's an awful lot more kind of weapons and armoury and stuff. You feel a little bit more of a badass in Resident 3, but you've got the ongoing kind of threat of the big bad coming to chase you, But yeah, so... I really like that. So that's my 7. What is your number 6?
My number 6 is Taiwan Night Market.
Oh, I've heard of this. I've heard a couple of people talk about this, and I'm intrigued to know about this. I'm going to look. You tell us about Taiwan Night Market.
So Taiwan Night Market's a really cool game from... I forget the name of the company.
It's a good game. I've got it here. Good Game Studio. It's the Good Game Studio. I've got it here.
So you're very cool aesthetic. You're running. You're one of various people running stalls on a Taiwan night market, and you've got all these creatures that are coming in to visit the various eateries and stuff in the Taiwan night market, and there's 3 kind of entrances to the night market. And you'll seed each entrance with various people. Then you'll have some people in your own hand that you'll seed into those so that people can't see them. And then you've got various building plots along the thing, which you do a bidding for at the beginning. And you essentially you're trying to set them up into the right spots to basically the people will come along and they'll take a first spot, and they'll then the second person will take the second spot available, and keep going along. And you're trying to get all, then you know from the various people that you got all the money. So like if somebody starts at A, they'll follow all the path which leads down to the entrance for B. So then if they don't get through A, then they'll be at entrance B for the next round. So you could be like, okay, right, so there you go. So and vice versa, it carries on for C as well. So it's very beneficial to grab the things at the top, but it's also in the latter part of the game it'll start, the ones at the bottom will pay off, sort of thing. But obviously where these things go, because you're bidding for the spot, so it's not so you might be bidding for the second spot in the thing or whatever, and it's got a road which got things either side of it. Then you've got certain sections of it that so it might be that you've got a stall that is for A, but also if they're coming from B, they could get it from both sides of it, sort of thing. Then you could start to, if you get the same type of business next to each other, then that becomes a bigger business and therefore makes more money, and takes more spaces and stuff. Just a really cool, really well produced, really fun game. If you've ever played Chinatown,
right,
which is very, very similar in that you're negotiating for all these spots on the board for a kind of very similar themed kind of thing.
Yeah.
This kind of takes that same sort of feel as Chinatown, but instead of negotiating, you're doing an auction bidding for the stuff. So negotiating, I love Chinatown. It's absolutely amazing game, but it falls on its arse if it's not in the right group. And luckily, my group is one that does negotiating really well. We will love that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if you get a group that isn't quite so good at negotiating, the auction aspect of Taiwan Night Market's a really good replacement in that sense, because nobody has to be bullshit about something. You just bid on it if you don't want it, and the people who just kind of want to math it out can math it out.
I never math things out. I'm rubbish at it.
No, neither do I.
I'm not a math. I'm not a math.
I'd rather just try and be intimidating via negotiation, rather than, or just bid excessively for something, and
That's why you're never good at high society. Cool. I said that's why you're never good at high society.
I love high society, but no, I am not good at it. Yeah, that's my number. What were we, 6?
Number 6.
Yes, Taiwan Night Market.
My number 6. Now you're possibly gonna gasp at this, but Empire's End. It was
my 15.
Was it?
But it's only because I think I haven't played it enough. That's all
right. Okay.
It definitely.
Okay. It's in here at this level because, well, first of all, it gets into that this game has been made in 2023, and secondly, it's very unique in what it does. And we spoke about Empire's End, in a previous episode, so I'm not going to dwell on it for long. But I really like the kind of the no thanks, you're bidding to try and avoid stuff and trying to kind of get the balance. And I think in the right group, it will absolutely shine. And component wise, it looks lovely. It's relatively kind of straightforward to kind of learn and play, and it doesn't spend too long at the table as well. So if you want to hear us talking about it, it's like there's the last episode we talked about kind of Empire's End. We talked about it End, so I'm not going to spend ages. So I'm just going to say number 6, Empire's End, Brotherwise Games, and now the top 5. What is your number 5?
So, my number 5.
Yes.
Is Star Wars: The Deck Building Game.
Oh, really? Okay. So I have heard about this, but I have not heard a lot about this, if you know what I mean.
So now there's an element of very similar with Mythic Battles in that this is a game that I bought just because I kind of bought it because it was coming out. It was relatively inexpensive.
Yeah.
It just looked like a really cool Star Wars themed game. So I just thought I'd just like to have it, being a fanboy. And then as I was waiting for it to arrive, I just suddenly thought, I thought to myself, I think I might be able to play this with Elliot, because essentially it's, if you've played Star Realms or that kind of deck building game, that's what it is.
Oh,
it's that simple. Market in the middle, forces either side. You know, it's that simple in that sense. So I thought, it's nice, simple, real, you know, just boiled down deck building game. I'll give this a try with Elliot, and this is one of those other games I have never beaten that little git at either. He has trounced me every single damn time, but it does some really cool things. So you have the market in the middle, and in that market you have light cards and dark cards. But what they do is you have neutral cards. So neutral cards sit, you know, perpendicular to you. And then the light cards will face me, and the dark cards will face you, if you know, depending on which side you are. So I can see all of whatever Luke Skywalker does. Classic deck building game. Most things have either attack power, buying power, and in this they have force. And you have a little track at the side, which the force sways back and forth, and all it does is give you a bit of buying power. Or some cards might say, if the force is with you, blah 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 blah. So, I can see everything that Luke Skywalker does, but then you can see the section that is upside down to me on Luke Skywalker, which is if you attack Luke Skywalker in the market and kill him, you get a whole load of stuff. So you could destroy cards in the market and get stuff for it. And then you have, you pick 5 bases at the beginning of the game. You start with one of those bases out. They've all got a defense value. Once you've destroyed a base, you take your 4 that you've got left, you decide which one you're going to use, and you put that one out, and it'll do some cool ability. So you get this, and you've got, like, I think 10 bases to choose from. So you've got this cool little bit at the beginning where you decide how you want to kind of do it. Then and it's the first to get to 3 bases destroyed. You know, so you got bases that you can kind of be like, I need this base now. This will help me. It just works so well. Beautifully produced, beautiful fantasy flight. You know, all new artwork. It's all nothing that's been used before or anything like that. It's just brilliant. Just works so well. And I played it the other night with my mate who came over we played Age of Rome, and then we got that done like quicker than we expected. So we had a quick game of Star Wars deck building game afterwards. You know, Elliot loves it, and it's just it's just no nonsense, boiled down, just spot on deck building. If you don't like deck building, you'll hate it. It's simple.
No, I
but
like
if
Star
you
Realms.
like deck building, exactly. If you like Star Realms, you can't not like it. If you like Star Realms and you like Star Wars, you just never play Star Realms again.
No brainer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It does a lot of what Star Realms does. It's essentially Star Realms Wars.
Essentially Star Wars Realms. Realms Wars Stars.
Star Wars Realms.
Star Wars Realms. Yeah. Star Realms.
Yeah.
It's essentially Warsy Realms.
Realms of the Sith.
I'm being like a giggling Muppet. My number 5 is Undaunted Battle of Britain.
I wish I'd played this. I wish I'd played more Undaunted of everything. Just so bloody good.
It's taken the Undaunted system and it's just taken it to the skies, but it still manages to kind of create the tension, the slow burn, it uses that's your kind of your deck building, your slight kind of deck building, kind of hand management. I mean, if you've got the other games in the Undaunted series, you've probably got this already. But it's just, it kind of manages to kind of like take what could traditionally be quite a boring thing, which is fly, shoot each other, and add that extra realm of tension across the table, as in you're not always able to fire or attack with everything that you've got. You're not always able, because you're using your hands, your hand of cards. You're not always able to figure out if that plane's behind me, is it going to attack me this round? Because he might not have the cards. And also at the same time, the way the damage works is when you damage one of your planes, you effectively you lose that card completely from your hand, from your deck, which means that you cannot then you're down. You can't use it again, which means it lessens the time you can actually play that game again. and it can be slow, but it's just kind of like things like the supply deck. It's like there's a supply deck there that you've got to buy from, because if you don't get your cards into your hand, then you can be in the situation where you might not be able to get, or it's going to be difficult to get them in your hand. But it also tells your opponent what cards you've got and what cards you've not got. It just seems somehow kind of manages to manage what you would normally see in a game of like X-Wing or something like that, and still maintain the kind of the hand management, the deck building, and that's why it's kind of like my number 5. So,
one of the trickiest of the Undaunteds, from my understanding.
Yes, I think because
not necessarily complex,
no,
but just tricky.
Yes,
the nature of flight.
Yes, the nature of getting people into the right position at the right time, and the fact you can end up with like 4 or 5 planes kind of stacked on each other and stuff like that. So it's not like there's like a truck in one place and nobody else can go in it, or there's a soldier in one place and nobody else can go in it. You can end up in situations where you have like literally and 2 ally planes and an enemy plane in exactly the same flying space, but they're not able to attack each other because they're all in the same space, because it creates a verticality as well. I'd love to play it with kind of like normal, real kind of maybe Wings of War models. I think it would be kind of absolutely amazing. So that is my number 5, Undaunted Battle of Britain. What is your number 4?
So my number 4, let me just quickly look it up. Hang on. So my number 4 of 2023, comes from 2018.
Okay.
Now, this is the reason this made the list.
Right.
Is because I had never heard of it. Ever. I'd never seen it in the wild. I'd never heard of it, never seen it. And I played at Aircon West, and this is called Drop It.
Oh,
have you
that's
ever seen?
the
Do you know
clear
Drop
screen.
It?
The clear screen with the plastic
Connect
shapes.
4 for gamers,
And you're trying to drop the stuff in, but not get the last shape to get to the top. So almost is it like a Tetrisy type thing where you can't?
No. So what it is? So yes,
shows what I know.
This clear Connect 4 looking thing, and at the bottom and up the sides you have everybody has the same load of shapes, just little wooden flat shapes of their various colour. And what you do is around the outsides you've either got sections that are broken up into colours, or sections that are broken up into shapes, and then throughout the height of it gets various points higher. So the bottom layer is worth 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4, up to like 7 points, and then there's a few circles dotted about that are worth points as well. Little circles that are worth 3 and big circles that are worth 1. And all you do is you take one of your pieces, you drop it in the middle, in the top, wherever along the thing you want, and it lands. And whatever of the points sections it has any bit touching of the highest amount, you get that many points. If it happens to very, very vaguely, slightly touch one of those little circles, you also get those points. But a colour can never touch the same colour, and a shape can never touch the same shape. So you just get all these little bits times where you're just like, oh, I can't, I haven't got any options because my yellow thing's there, and then all I've got left is a square and a diamond. There's a square and a diamond there, and a diamond, and you just get, and things do things that you just can't expect. And you just like, you think, oh yeah, this is cool. Yeah, I'll just drop that there. And that suddenly just speared its way down through the shapes, and that diamond is now touching that diamond. Or you suddenly get people halfway through the game, they've seen that things can move in ways you don't expect, and it just, it's just doing this thing, and you got these choices, and then there'll be this little nugget of a space that they want to go, oh yeah, if I just get my square to balance perfectly, borderline defying the laws of physics on that little nugget of space, well, that'll get me 5 points. That'll be lovely. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And you think, what about the game leading up to this point has led you to think that you're going to remotely be able to achieve that? And then they try to do it and they go, oh no, it didn't work, Or somebody drops a bit and you're like, how the hell have you managed to make you get like a circle balancing on this point of a diamond or something like that, and it's just such a perfect. It's an everybody game. I played it at the convention. We just laughing, every time we were playing it. Loads of people were walking through the room. They always stopped to watch us play it. Nobody had ever knew what the hell it was, and you're always laughing raucously at people because they cocked it up or they got crap options or whatever. Then took it on Boxing Day to the family. Played it with the kids. Played it with my wife's family and everything. Bought it for my best friend, for his family. It's just such a spot on game. It's great for gamers and it's great for families, And my 6-year-old, she really is just only kind of just getting into games of any note. And she will sit there. She's like looking at it, and oh no, there's a square there, and I go, oh my god, oh no, there's a yellow, oh, and she's really, at 6 years old, you think she's just going to go, oh, it's square, bomb, and just throw it in there and just hope for the best. But she doesn't. She really sits there and evaluates her options.
She's that age where her entire world at primary school is probably going to be triangles, squares, parallelograms, and rhombuses. She's probably a bigger expert than any of you.
Yeah, and also the opportunity to beat mum and dad, which is just never
always just so
chef's kiss for a 6-year-old.
Exactly.
But also heartbreaking when they don't beat mum and dad, or worse, they don't beat their brother.
They just go to the room and don't come out until they're 12.
So yes, although very much not a 2023 game or even a 2022 game.
No.
I just, like I said, I'd never heard of it, never seen it, never anything, and just absolutely fell in love with it. I've just had so much fun with it over the last 4 months.
Wonderful. So that's your number 4.
That was my number.
My number 4 is another game that we've spoken about recently. It's Kinfire Chronicles Nightfall. The more I drift into this big boxy type, it's just I really like it. It's kind of big boxy goodness without the kind of the worldwide kind of administration. It's almost like it's a very, very kind of lean game, and go back and listen to me talking about it, but I like it very, very much. I love the presentation. I love the little trove boxes that you get, the little missions that you get, that it's kind of like self-contained, and I played the next game in the series, which is a small box game called Kinfire Delve, which uses the same kind of double colour kind of card system that they've got, and it just made me want to go back and play more Chronicles. So if you're interested in finding out more, go back and listen to that episode. But that is Kinfire Chronicles Nightfall Incredible Dream number 4.
Nice.
Just because it's kind of that big epic fun without feeling that, oh my goodness, I've got to go through this epic fun with capital E.
I can't remember exactly what you said when we discussed it before, but it sounded like it did some really cool stuff.
Yes,
that made it stand out from the crowd. And does some really cool things and does them really well.
Just combat with boosting and combat, and I play a card, but then you've got the ability to play another card on top of that as well to boost it and give me kind of like extra stuff. And there's kind of like hand management, and if you want to refresh your deck, then you've got to kind of like, you can take like exhaustion cards and stuff like that, because you've effectively exhausted yourself because you've used up all your moves for that thing. And it's just all the little kind of things, a little showing of thought that they've done that kind of makes it kind of one of these games that most people that I see talking about it always talk about it in a kind of like a positive light. It's like, this is my idea of what a big box game should kind of be like, that it kind of offers it in terms of story and content and not necessarily in terms of faff. So that's Kinfire Chronicles Nightfall by Incredible Dream.
Nice.
We're into the serious.
And the medals. We're on the podiums.
We're on the medals. So what's your bronze medal going for?
Somebody's getting doused with champagne from the winner. So my number 3 is World Wonders.
Oh, Okay. I don't know of this game. I demand to know
Yes,
more
you
of this
do.
game. Yeah?
You definitely know this game. You must have heard of it.
I probably
Arcane
have.
Wonders, World Wonders.
I probably
It's a
have.
very
I'm going to
beautifully
check.
produced
I'm
game.
going to check this.
So it's a polyomino-ish. Yeah, polyomino. Yeah. So you've got a grid in front of you, which is just a part of land, and you're filling it up with all these various coloured buildings that give you things. But then also what you have the opportunity to buy is various world wonders, and there's always 3, I think, world wonders available. So you've got money to spend, and all these different polyomino tiles, cost X amount. You've got all these tracks, and it's one of those, the tracks go up, but you'll only ever score the lowest track, so you've got to kind of balance them as they go up and stuff like that. But they're also kind of the timer to the end of the game. When somebody hits a certain point on one of these tracks, that will trigger the end of the game. So you've got like 7 money to spend, and the world wonders, they cost anything. But what they cost specifically is everything. So a world wonder costs whatever you have left, but it's also the end of your turn. So you need to hit various criteria to get a world wonder, to whatever that might be, whether it's the pyramids, the Gardens of Babylon, the Colossus of Rhodes, all these various cool things, Chichen Itza, and they got all these cool wooden chunky pieces that represent the world wonder and where they can be placed, and what resources you have to have with the various other polyomino tiles to get that world wonder. So you might be the first player, and you've got your 7 to spend, and there's like, I need some of the red resource. I really should buy that tile, but I want the Easter Island heads, and I know if I don't take them now, there's a very good chance that Sean might take them. So sod it. I'm spending all the money I got. So, but then you get to that point where you're the first player, and you're like, right, okay, I really want to get the Easter Island heads. Okay, Sean, he still needs to get 2 more red, so he can't get them yet. So, okay, cool. So I'll buy some more pathways, or I'll buy a tower, which do all these various things that do kind of various things to help you expand your city. So I'll buy a tower now. Yeah, cool. Okay, you'll go Sean. So Sean buys something. He buys those red things. Here, right? Okay, cool. Comes back around to you. Now I'll buy the Easter Island heads before Sean does. So it just, like I say, just really cool, beautifully produced. Really, really fun game.
It
really
looks
fun.
it
definitely
lovely.
stands out because it definitely if it weren't for the cool big chunky world wonders, and they were just flat tiles, it probably wouldn't get nearly as much love as it has got. But that's board games for you in the modern world. It's got, that's what makes it stand out from everything. But yeah, really, really cool game. Really cool. So you've not heard of it at all?
No, but then,
Wow.
I don't like board games.
I was,
No,
I
don't know.
really
It's
surprised
like
you
there's
hadn't heard of it.
so
I think you'd really like it.
There's so many that kind of like they get there's an awful lot of things that are good at kind of like spreading noise, and then you get ones like this that kind of slightly slip under the radar, and they get mentioned in a couple of places. It's kind of interesting because you look at, like, say, the Board Game Geek kind of page, and I suppose there's a reasonable number of reviews, but there's only kind of 6 text reviews, and I'm a big person. I like to read kind of what people have written as opposed to kind of watch videos, I guess. So, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of escaped me a little bit, but there you go.
If you get the chance to play it, do so.
I might just get
a really cool game.
I might
really
just
cool
grab
game.
it. I might just grab it. My bronze weddle.
Bronze Weddle?
I'm putting a bronze weddle. I'm putting a double.
Copper pedal?
And copper pedal. My giggling Muppet.
Chuckling Muppet.
Muppet. Giggling. Whatever. Grinning. Giggling. Chuckling. Votes for Women. Fort Circle Games.
They've got 2 games on the list.
They've got 2 games on the list. I don't know. I think they just, you get certain publishers and designers, they just tick your boxes and you just go like, this just kind of works for me. And there's probably an entire genre of games out there. And I know that the coin series games are all about kind of like playing cards and doing things. And I think if I was approaching this from somebody who's played lots and lots of coin games, I would probably be going, it's okay, it's fine, it's a good game, but there are these other coin games which you can play instead, which are so much better. But what I like about Votes for Women was it is a proper kind of war game. It is a proper kind of hold your territory, take territory, build up your resources, try attack essentially the opposition. And it's all kind of like everything from kind of like the style of the artwork on the cards, the font, everything kind of screams nostalgia. It contains kind of historical documentation, so it's teaching you everything about it. But the main thing is, it's a really solid game. It could have been dull, it could have been simple, it could have been peppered with historical facts, and people would have just went, well, this is just an educational game with some gameplay kind of sprinkled over the top of it. And instead it's like, it's quite, you really feel like you're kind of going toe to toe with the opposition, even though the opposition at the beginning kind of have the upper hand, and you end up kind of like trying to plan your moves, trying to like kind of guess what the opposition's going to do, and it's got this kind of wonderful, glorious kind of escalation of kind of like powers, and as you approach the kind of the end of the game, there's kind of sweeping reforms that come in as like the current kind of setup is kind of obviously panicking about what's going to happen. And so you find big sways kind of back and forward as it plays, and it kind of works. Yeah, it kind of works really, really well, and it's good fun. Availability wise, I think it's starting to become more and more available in the UK, and I know I think they're running their second printing for their Kickstarter, which they've funded kind of there and beyond. So that is my bronze medal position. Votes for Women, Fort Circle Games. And it was Tori Brown that designed it, so who was a former guest on the show. So there you go.
Well, we know what the standard of your guests is.
Well, it is now anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's your silver medal position?
My silver medal is Age of Comics: The Golden Years.
Oh, you've talked about this before, very briefly.
Talked about this. Yes, yeah, I have talked about this. This is one of those games that, when you've got a game coming and you're like, I hope this is as good as it looks and as good as I want it to be. So you're playing, and each of you are playing up to 4 players. You're playing your various comic book studio in the golden era of comics. The action comics, detective comics, the birth of comics and where they all came from. And at its core, it is a classic worker placement game. I do love a bit of worker placement game. Worker placement, and this is really cool. So you've got various resources. So you've got ideas. So like if you want to make a romance novel comic, you need to have a couple of romance ideas. And you've got artists and writers, and the comic itself, and so artists and writers are suited to certain types. So you've got action comics, sci-fi comics, detective comics, horror, romance, etc., etc. So if you'll probably by the end of the game you'll have published 4 to 6 comics, and if, like, for instance, you produced an action comic and it had an action writer and an action artist, that would be worth more points at the end of the game. If you had a romance comic that had a horror writer but a romance artist, it would be worth a little less points. then also what you're doing is you're trying to so a comic will come out and it'll have a certain amount of fan base to it, and you've got various ways to build up the hype, so you can start getting extra abilities on top of your kind of the existing beginning abilities. So then when you go to do say you write a comic, so that's when you choose one of the comics available to you. So you go, right, well, I'm going to take that romance comic. You might have upgraded that action so that you would then build hype on it. So what you would do is you would then put that down in front of you, not in your hand. You put it down in front of you, and every turn it would get +2 hype, which basically means when it comes out, it would be more popular. And then you have like a map of New York or Manhattan, and you've got all the various newsstands and shops and bookstores and everything like that, and you can go around trying to basically sell your comics to these various places to again increase the popularity of these comics, and kind of get these certain ones you can get into like legendary status, and they'll never lose popularity. Your comics will every round will get less popular unless you can boost them up to the point where they're a classic. Then they'll always be loved, kind of thing. So in of itself, it doesn't do anything particularly brand new in the worker placement space. But it's beautifully produced. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous to look at. Lovely, that kind of pastel shades and this lovely 60s, 50s sort of 40s art kind of style to it. Just everything they've done, they did really, really well. If it has a downside, it's that I think you could kind of get a bit screwed. Like if you in that last round, if you were planning like all worker placement things, the way this works is there's X amount of worker placement spaces on a thing, so you might have like 3 spaces available in a 3-player game or whatever. The first one you might get an extra benefit, the second one you might not get so much of a benefit, the third one you might not get a benefit at all. You just get to do the thing. If, say for instance, the publishing, putting it out there, if you don't do that quick enough and you don't get to publish your last one that you spent this round and the previous round getting ready, then you're done. You're screwed. You're out of it. So it can be a bit punishing on that front. But that's just it's just the rub of it. It's not the way it is. But I love it. I just think it's such a great game. I love the style of it. Love the look of it. Feel fully immersed in it, and I really feel like you are, like, gathering these ideas, and you're like, oh yeah, let's get this cool artist to do this. Yeah, it's just brilliant. Great.
So silver medal. Age of Comics.
Silver medal.
My second place might be surprising, might not be surprising. Is General Orders. World War II.
I thought it was going to be number 1.
Did you? I think you might be surprised by that. I think you might. So it's like one of those things. It's like, here's a 10 list of the top things you can do with fudge. Number 1 will surprise you. What can I say about General Orders? That it's just a box of kind of continual worker placement, kind of abstract war type kind of strategy that kind of continually it has the same, it's ended up on the same shelf as Blitzkrieg in terms of its shortness, its immediateness, its strategy, its abstractness, the fact that it just sits and plays, the fact that I can sit down with somebody and after 5 minutes they know how to understand the game, they know how to play the game, the fact that you've not just got one side of the board, you've got the other side of the board, which adds in a whole pile of new strategy, the fact that it kind of makes you kind of go, yeah, I'm winning, but then also adds this anonymity to everybody that's kind of like, it becomes very, very like a cold game. It's the opposite to like Battle of Britain or any of the Undaunted games. like I said, I think I said in my review, there's no specifically marked counters, so you don't get veterans or aces. You basically get two forces heading off against each other. You don't even really know if you're playing obviously the German side or the Allies side, because the counters are like blue and yellow, so there's no obviously, it's just two kind of factions facing off each other, and you know that every single time you're removing a counter from the board, you're taking like, you've essentially, that's somebody that's been killed or whatever. So it's kind of, but it comes together as this like glorious little package that just, it's just perfect for sitting down for like 15 minutes, half an hour, and just kind of playing through, and it just looks the part. And I'm interested to see what else happens with General Orders and what else they do, because this one's obviously titled General Orders World War II. So I'm interested to see what they do with General Orders. You know, if they do other kind of versions, I'm just interested to see, because it's a different genre to go down. And I'm interested to see what they do. And yeah, it's just my number 2 game of last year.
Nice.
So, we've climbed the hill. We've brought our little stone to bring up to the top of the little cairn. You're punching the air in joy between coughing through fits and at the same time taking a little vape. You're sitting down and reminiscing on the game which has given you the most fun during 2023. What is your number 1 game? You got a drum roll?
So my number 1 game. Does that drum roll?
Yeah. Oh, what?
I don't know what that was.
It is, it's a drum roll.
It did not sound like you gargling. There we go.
Bossa Nova.
So mine
Let's give you some Bossa Nova. Your number 1 game is
a 2022 game. But very, very difficult to get hold of unless you backed it on Kickstarter, which I didn't. But my number 1 game, which I could not have played earlier, is Oathsworn. So I've talked quite a lot about Oathsworn into the Deep Wood.
Never heard of it.
Yes, you have.
I know.
You have, right?
Yes, I have. Yeah, she would shut up about it.
Yeah. So, Oathsworn is just this huge, massive adventure game. You play one of a party of 4 of Oathsworn, and you are revered adventurer, heroes, warriors, fighters, and mystics and so forth. And you play in this really cool, various sort of region of this fantasy world that had this kind of like apocalyptic almost event, and this huge deep wood suddenly kind of came out of nowhere and surrounded all the various places and is insanely dangerous to traverse. And you set off on this adventure, and each chapter, which is the whole sort of campaign of it, is made up of 21 chapters. You start off with a story section, and then you do an encounter. And the story section is, you could be in this city and you've got this map in front of you, and you go to these various locations using a very, very good app if you wish, or you can have it you can read it out from a book, kind of in that choose your own adventure kind of, go to paragraph 34 and whatever. But the app is really good. It's got a really good narrator who was a guy from Game of Thrones, very famous actor, British actor. His name escapes me now.
Very famous actor.
No, he is. When you see him, you see him. He's a very, very classic British actor.
Yeah.
You do the story and then you do an encounter. The story will always lead to you fighting this like big boss, big beastie, or band of hot ne'er-do-wells and stuff like that. And we are in the midst of episode 8, encounter 8. Usually we'd get story and encounter done each night. and only the last two, the last encounter 7 didn't finish till like 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
We were, it took a long time.
Yeah.
This latest one, now admittedly we're not starting till like 8.
Oh, okay.
Maybe just afterwards. So if you're a bit more on it or able to, you can definitely easily get them done in a night. It starts off the first few encounters. Story sections are kind of fairly classic. Choose your own adventure. Nothing groundbreaking. Just setting a cool story, immersing you into this world, kind of letting you develop the character of your people. Kind of letting you kind of get the vibe of how your party works, making these choices of this and that. A lot of these story sections have a path A or a path B, so there's lots of options there and stuff. But then in these last 2 or 3 encounters, it really stepped it up. We did some really cool stuff in the story section, way bigger, way longer than the story sections had been in the earlier ones. And we were opening like mystery envelopes, and then we had like making our way through mazes and trying to sneak into a prison, and all sorts of cool stuff. That's not a big spoiler or anything like that. But then it always leads to an encounter which has been so varied. We've come up against like the first one is you're against the Brood Mother, which is this. She's on the front cover, so again, not a spoiler. Yeah. Giant rat, and she has these huge rat swarms that you've got to figure out how to tactically defeat this thing, and they've all got their own deck, and they've got special rules, and they all work in completely different ways. And then we've been up against like a band of like 5 like barbarian-y kind of cultisty things, and again, like suddenly you go from attacking one big thing to having 5 kind of really kind of strong things. Really kind of getting the hang of your character and how they play, and the mechanics of the battles are really clever. What you do and your hand management, and it's one of those ones where you have a deck, but it's always in your hand. Every card you have available to you at all times, but you use a card and it kind of does this battle flow. So like your most powerful cards will go into 3, and then when you play another 3, everything that's in the 3 spot will move around to the 2 spot. When you play a 2, everything that's in the 2 will move around to the 1, and eventually, if anything is in the 0 spot at the start of the round, they come back into your hand. So you've got to kind of tactically figure out how to go, right, okay, well, if I do this attack, I can do that, then I'll spend a battle flow token. You've got lots of tokens to help you kind of buff you here and there, and when you need them, I'll do a battle flow token, and I'll move that back round to there, because the next card I'm going to play is a 2, so then that'll be there. So you're doing all that kind of thing, whereas also obviously the tactical nature of trying to actually deal with the beastie in front of you, it's just brilliant. We are just having such an amazing time playing it. We're just loving every second of it, and it's been brilliant, absolutely great.
I love it. So that's a number 1. I mean, it sounds like there's still tons of it to play. Like
I mean, like I say, we're at 8.5 encounters, as it were, and we've got up to 21 to go to, and there's a lot of mystery boxes to open yet.
So that's your number 1. My number 1 is... It sounds like you do those reality shows and they go, and my number 1 is, and then they pause for like 3 minutes, and I'm pretty sure that they just say it straight away and don't actually do the pause, and they just edit in the pause. So my number 1 of game for last year was Expeditions from Stonemaier.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I love the exploration.
I haven't played it.
I love the exploration. I love how it's kind of riffing off of Scythe, but at the same time it's kind of like its own little game. I have taught this game to a fair number of people now, and everybody has been able to relatively kind of pick it up pretty easily and manage to kind of get going. I really like how it kind of works with like 2 players and how you're kind of like racing around the board to pick up, kind of explore areas in order to open up the exploration. And at the same time, I like it how higher player numbers, it automatically starts to force people to work on the more complicated ways of kind of scoring and stuff like that. And it's just the little system of you can either move, play or gather, and then you can do that on the first turn, you can do all 3, and then from then on you can only do 2 unless you refresh, and that your hand is on your table and everybody can see your cards. And the way the mechs work, that they just like, they explore but they can't go against others' faces. It's kind of like there's not any direct interactivity, but there's certainly points where you have to decide where you're going and you'll be blocked by other players, or you'll have to make decisions based on what everybody else is doing. I think it's the sweet spot is probably about 3 players, possibly 4. I've seen people play it with 5 players and have a good time, but I've only seen very few people that I've been playing it have come away and said, no, that didn't kind of gel with me. And that all comes down to them kind of potentially not being able to get their individual engine kind of going, you know. So yeah, pretty much. It's just, yeah, I was kind of, I've seen people kind of rant and rave about it. I've seen people kind of rant about it and say that they don't like it. But for me, it's just another game that just kind of like really, really works for me. And so that's why. And I would play it again. I played it on Friday. Played it before that. I just, you know, if somebody says to me, would you like to play this game? I'm just going to get it to the table because I know where I am with it and I'm learning the kind of the strengths and weaknesses. And for me, it's epic. And yes, it takes a kind of like 2.5 hours to kind of play it. But it's just, I can have like people who haven't played the game before and still have them up to speed with kind of experienced players, and not have this thing where people feel that they've got a disadvantage. So it ticks a lot of boxes. But then I'm a big kind of Scythe fan. Right. So it kind of, to me, this is like a natural progression for where Scythe could go, and there's the potentiality for expansion. So yeah, it's I wrote the review for Tabletop Gaming Magazine, but the game's mine. I didn't, you know, it's like I saw it and I went, I'm gonna have that. So that is like basically one of my favourite games. It was a tie between, I guess, the top 3. You could say if you put any of them in front of me at the table, I would play any of them. But I think Expeditions just really like it.
Is that a game you see like being one of your top 10 games of all time? Is it that good?
I think it'll hover. I think it'll hover around about the end of the top 10 of all time, because there's some really, really strong competition for that. But definitely, I mean, I've got Viticulture in there, you know, and things like that for my ultimate kind of top 10.
Yeah.
But definitely, if somebody put it in front of me tonight and said, you want to play this, I'd be like, yeah, I'm definitely playing this. Not a problem at all. Love it. I've got the neoprene mat. I've got the metal mechs. I'm looking at the metal coins.
Those metal mechs are beautiful.
They're just amazing. Yeah. They're just absolutely amazing. So there we go. So that is our top 10 for 2023. So, and I think...
Did we have a single game crossover?
I don't think so.
I had some...
No.
On the outside of it, Empire's End was the only one I could think of. No,
I think that's a nice little eclectic mix of 20 games that people could consider looking at, which is a nice list, because you always get, normally you get people going, oh no, I've got that for number 5, or I've got that for number 10, or I've got that for a bit. I think, no, it's a nice little mix of 2 games.
I think it shows what a good year 2023 was as well. The fact that, you know, and 2022 if you want to count this one. I mean, really, my number 1 game of this year is Mythic Battles Ragnarok, but you know, it's just more. It's more Mythic Battles, so it's like, hey ho.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just shows what a cracking year was. There was some truly great games, and there's like, I look at the list of 2023 when I was looking through the whole list of it, thinking, right, okay, what games have I played? Okay, and I was sort of noting down all the games I played. And I was just going past all these games. I was like, oh, I'd love to play that. Oh, I'd love to play that. Oh, I'd love to play that. Oh, I've got that. Why haven't I played that yet? And there's just so many cracking games were released in this year.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the plan for this year, is to play less games that get sent and play more games that I have. And if that means kind of talking about games that are a couple of years old, I'm quite happy to do that. I think that would be the way forward. But I think that is a nice little place to kind of wrap things up. So you can go downstairs and catch the rest of Dancing on Ice. And if people want to catch us online, you can find us on our website, which is we'renotwizards.co.uk. You can find us on the podcasts catchers of choice, but the main website is we'renotwizards.com. You'll find us on Apple, you'll find us on Google Podcasts, you'll find us on Spotify, you'll find us on Spreaker and Stitcher and Upwards and Downwards and Dolphin Nose and all these other wonderful, Podcast Addict. There's all these other wonderful podcast places of choice. If you like what you've listened to, two things you can do. Tell other people that we exist, because that's always very nice. And the second thing is to give us a rating or review on your podcast catcher of choice. But until the next time, it's time to say goodbye. And remember, we're many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Luke?
No.
Absolutely not.
We're mythic beasts.
Absolutely. So until the next time, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful, and go on then.
Stay spicy.
And it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
And until the next time, goodbye. Stay spicy.
I forgot about that.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.